Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi Show with Peter Yu. Today, we're going to talk about judo around the world.
That's right. So Shintaro is a well-traveled judoka. And
Many countries, dozens of countries, yes. And now, I'm revisiting the traveling teaching judoka. I'm teaching some seminars coming up. I'm doing a seminar in Las Vegas in March. I'm doing a seminar in North Dakota in April. I may try to do one seminar, away seminar a month. Mm-hmm. The people who have gotten through to me to get to do these seminars have been our Patreon through the podcast. So obviously they get preferential treatment. So please join us on Patreon. You get all the perks.
That's right.
Yeah, there was a time when I used to get a lot of inquiries about seminars, and I used to do a lot of them, mostly local back in the day, just out of the convenience. But the inquiries are starting to roll in again, just because pandemic is kind of winding down, I guess, or people are tired of it. I don't really know the situation with that. I'm not an expert.
Yeah,
but even though sometimes I pretend to be.
But they're rolling in.
They're rolling in. Yeah. So I'm doing a seminar. Let me know. I'm pretty open about sort of my pricing situation. It's usually 50-50 with the gym. That way the gym can make a little bit of money. I can make a little bit of money. There is a floor. I don't want to leave my door outside the house, my beloved New York City. I don't want to leave New York City for peanuts. So there is sort of a minimum.
Yeah.
All right, but we'll get together and do it. And also join us on Patreon. But judo around the world, that's what we want to talk about today.
Right. So obviously the U.S., but we're going to go outside the U.S. And
outside the U.S. That was one of our questions, too, from our Patreon.
Oh, right. And then the first country I guess we need to talk about is Japan. Because you spent a lot of time in Japan.
Yeah, a lot of time in Japan. Even Jimmy Pedro, the great Jimmy Pedro, one of the best U.S. judokas to come out of the United States, he spent a lot of time in Japan, too.
Right.
There's a lot of training in Japan. Usually, it's not these business dojos that do it big.
Right.
A lot of the business-related dojos, the capitalistic, like club dojos, are for kids. And they're used to develop the youths. Once they start that and they have a foundation, they get pumped into the elementary school, middle school system, and they compete through high school, college. It's a whole university system.
Right.
It's like collegiate sports.
Yeah, it's kind of like NCAA here, right?
Yeah, there's no basketball clubs that you pay into and then take basketball lessons for $200 a month. They don't have that. Right? You can get private lessons. You can join a league. But most of the people who play basketball, they develop their skills early on, and then they play on a couple teams, and they join their middle school team, the high school team. Hopefully they get to the NCAAs. It's kind of like that in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. So it's all systematic.
Even the pros, once they finish the university system, get hired by a company to do judo full time. Those guys, a lot of the times, train with their alma mater. So the universities are where it's at.
Oh, so they don't train with their teammates.
Sometimes they do, yeah, of course they do. But a lot of them train. For instance, I knew a guy who used to compete for this company called Senko. And they had a team of about 15 judo guys. And they had one practice a week on Wednesdays in the morning.
Just together with the 15
Just together.
Guys. Yeah.
And then after that practice, they had to go into the office because they're a corporate employee. They usually say hi. They sit at a desk for a couple hours. And they really, literally do no real work.
Oh, they don't. But they're employees.
They're employees, yeah. So they show the face. The judo team's coming on Wednesday, hurrah. And then, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they get to train wherever they want.
That's a very interesting system.
I mean, that's one system, right? Yeah. And one of those guys is a Kokushikan guy, Kugimaru, who's my friend. Yeah. And he would train at his university.
At Kokushikan.
Yeah. And then sometimes he would go to Nichidai.
I see. So you jump around the universities. Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah, the police academy has training. So now, back in the day, you only trained with your club. That was it.
Right.
You're a Kokushikan guy. I went to Kokushikan for middle school, high school, college. That's all you trained. But now it's changing a little bit. There's a little bit more cross-training, especially if you're at the top. Yeah. If you're like an average person at a university and then you show up at another university,
they're not going to
what are you doing here?
Yeah.
But if you're a name and if you're a pro or if you're,
Right.
then you go, obviously you have to do the song and dance of like, hey, sensei, may I come train? Is it okay? And you have to ask your own sensei, hey, may I go train at this university because this guy's over there? And then the senseis have to kind of, say thank you. And then you kind of have to give a gift. There's like all these little Japanese formalities.
Right.
But if you walk into a room, Kokushikan University, on any given night when they have training, it's like 100 people in there. Sometimes the Georgian, when I went, the Georgian team was there.
Well, yeah.
Especially in the summer, it's popular.
Right.
There's foreign teams in there, yes. So that's kind of what it's like, judo in Japan. So there's not as many commercial clubs as you would think. They are out there,
right?
But it's not something that people do as a hobby in there as an adult.
How just one quick question, because the professional judokas are like very interesting. So how do you do only the top guys from each university get to become pro? Like who becomes pro? How do you apply?
Not always a top guy. You kind of have to apply, and there's this whole thing in Japan. Like once you finish university, you go out and get a job, and then you're kind of married to that corporation long term.
Right.
But if you're doing judo pro, it's almost understood that you go in there, you serve your time as a judo pro, and then you move on to other things. Because generally, you enter a corporation, you're there for life in Japan. Mm-hmm. But this is the problem. You're 23 years old, you're a killer at judo, you join a corporation like Toyota or something, and you're doing judo for them full time. You do 7 years, you're 30, you retire from judo. Now you're expected to do all the same work as your colleagues. Right. You have zero work experience, actual work experience. So it becomes very, very difficult. So usually that's when you sort of quit, resign, go teach judo, become a teacher, coach, start your own club, things like that.
I see.
That's generally how it's done. Generally.
I see.
Super generalizing everything here.
Yeah, we're just doing a quick overview of things. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a nice little life, They give you a salary, a corporate salary. And in Japan, it's not like a meritocracy. It's like an age thing where you join a company. This is your starting salary, and every year it goes up. So you're matching some companies better than others, and you get a performance bonus based on judo, not based on actual work, which is pretty cool.
So if you win competition, you get a little more here and there.
Yes, and it really depends on the company. Some companies have lower base and more performance bonuses. I knew somebody that would work for a parking lot company. Like they owned one of the biggest franchises of parking lots in Japan. And this guy said like, base is not so high, but you go to the All Japans and you win one match, it's $10,000.
Oh, nice.
Something like that. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Right? And that really attracts the sort of, right? I know, guys, you could join the police force, and that's a little bit different. If you're joining the police force, then you're kind of policing and training.
I see.
And those people
you
generally,
can stay,
yeah. After you're done competing, you could stay and just be a cop.
Right.
Because that work experience is not as important.
Yeah. So when I spent summer in Japan, I actually studied Japanese there for a couple of months in college, and I did judo, and then I did judo at a government-run facility. It was like a martial art facility for all kinds of martial arts, and then I think it was very cheap because it's government funded, and then all the adults came. Actually, the hobbyists came there. So instead of those private clubs, people seem to go to those things. Yeah, it's like a YMCA kind of deal, I guess.
Yeah, they have a lot of that. Even Kodokan, it's open practices, and some nights it's great, some nights it's not, and it's pretty great,
Cool. So Japan, I guess we could cross the small sea we could briefly talk about Korea, because I did spend a little bit of time in Korea too. Yeah, it's very similar to Japan in the sense that there's a whole school system. Yeah. And then you bring through, and then the famous university is Yongin. Yeah.
Yongin's so famous.
Yeah, that's like it was actually founded as a martial arts university. And
some people call it Korean Seinagi University.
That's right. Everyone went to Yongin pretty much.
Yeah. They're gonna replace the name to IJF obsolete university now because there's no more Korean Sanagi. I'm sorry, guys.
Right. Yeah, and they do have pros. A lot of times they work for, I guess, government employees. I guess hired by city halls.
Yeah,
I see a lot of that. And then the interesting thing is the Korean what do you call that when you bet on horse racing? The horse racing betting company.
Yeah,
is like the biggest sponsor of judo in Korea.
Japan too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they love the horse betting companies. Love judo for some reason.
I don't know what there might be
like
some
a gangster
kind of
related
yeah,
thing,
exactly. Yeah,
they love the betting. They love the judo, the fighting.
No, I didn't know that because in Korea, a lot of good judokas out of university go to those companies and then but I trained at a private club actually when I was there for a summer.
Nice.
So their whole focus was training high school kids so that they could get into Yongin. That was their big thing because the owner was a Yongin graduate and so I trained with a lot of those high school kids. But
a lot of countries, depending on where you are, have different sort of funding criteria and funding things. And, now that we're on that topic, I mean, like Canada has a carding system too. And they have A-level athletes, B-level athletes, and the government pays, a couple $1,000s a month based on that.
Oh, that's good. A couple thousand.
Yeah, Canada has that, and they have a very good judo program. It's very concentrated in Montreal because, Nicholas Gill.
I see.
He's an Olympic silver medalist, and
Right.
Shidokan, and Mr. Nakamura's up there. So they have a long history of judo. I tend to find going all over the world, like the history with the big champions who sort of made it per se and, had TV time, and those people generally tend to build a following.
Right.
Like Naidan in Mongolia built a following over there too. And he was immensely instrumental in popularizing judo, although he's in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh, he is?
Naidan Submission Bar. He was an Olympic gold medalist.
He was a politician. He became a politician, right? Or was it a different guy?
Maybe that. I think you're thinking of Manny Pacquiao.
Guy. Yeah. No, no. There's I think it's a different person, but Mongolian president or something used to be a judoka or something. But what happened to Naidan?
He beat up his friend, and then the guy died.
I remember reading about that. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, he was an Olympic gold medalist, Olympic silver medalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he beat up his friend and he died. So now he's in trouble. But, he was big in bringing Mongolian judo to the forefront of IJF.
Right.
There was Israel also. Right. I think they took a lot of influence from the Russians the Russian Jews who moved to Israel had a big influence.
Oh, I see.
Right. So, like, if you look at, like, judo in Brazil, it's a little bit different because the pioneers from Japan back in the day during the Global Initiative moved over, right? Like Maeda.
From Japan,
and the forefathers of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu moved from Japan to Brazil to spread this art, and it kind of went from there. So there's a huge Japanese influence in the grappling community in Brazil.
So would you say Brazilian? You've been to Brazil, and
Brazil's awesome.
To compare, would you say Brazilian judokas follow more Japanese style of judo?
Tend to, yes. So, like, if I look at, like, Mongolian judo versus Brazilian judo has much deeper roots to Japan, and their style is much similar to, mine or yours than it is to, like, a Mongolian style or compared to, like, a Russian style.
Right.
Because those guys have influence from Sambo as well.
Right.
Sambo wrestling, and they have their own hybrid grappling martial art.
Right.
And that has seeped into, like, Bulgaria, Kyrgyzstan, all those Istans and the former Soviet countries.
I see.
So when you do judo through those places, it has a different feel too.
I see. Yeah. So which country should we go next? We kind of did a whole broad stroke.
I don't know, man. Let's see.
Maybe Western Europe. France is a big one.
France is pretty big, right? I like, what was amazing about competing in France was just the education of all the active spectators. They say
they fill in stadiums, right? They fill stadiums.
Filled the entire stadium when I was there for, what was it? the World Championships in 2010 or 2011. It was insane.
Didn't you say some kids came up to you and asking for autographs and stuff?
Yeah, but they were asking everybody too, not just me specifically. Yeah, they were.
But still,
it was pretty cool.
yeah, it's very cute. It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I did it at the New York Open when I was a kid. I would go around all the competitors and have them sign the brochure.
Oh, nice.
And then these USA Judo athletes would look at me like, "What is wrong with this kid?"
Why? It's so cute.
Like, hey, Roddy, Roddy Ferguson. Like, can you sign my information packet? And he's like, "All right, kid." Blah, blah, blah. Like it's kind of like that. But it's like that on a much bigger scale. And, when you're doing judo in France, everybody knows what's going on. Right? Passive, perceive, this person it's a very educated crowd. So when you're going for stuff, even when you're like grip fighting, you hear people like, I see. Like you can kind of tell, like person gets over the hand dominant, they're like, it's coming. Right? So the popularity of judo is different from country to country.
Right.
Fighting in Brazil was amazing. Even the Grand Slams, like during the prelims during the day, no one's there. It's prelims.
Right.
But you make it to the finals, because the prelims usually happen between 9 and like noon or 1 o'clock. You make the finals, you come back for the finals in the evening.
Right.
So people buy tickets to it.
Yeah.
Yes. And then a lot of the times, if there's a champion competing, a lot more people tend to come. And all the local high schools will bring students. Yeah, like, we're going to take a field trip after school today. Grand Slam finals or something. And then the stands will be packed. All local high schools. Yeah, all these kids, local clubs. They have those little sound makers. Brazil is really cool, man. I got to tell you. And judo in Brazil is very, very popular.
Do they follow the scholastic system like Japan and Korea, or do they have more private clubs? You know that?
I don't really know, but I did see lots of signs for judo all over the country, and judo was all over TV. Even when I turned on the TV, it's like,
oh, interesting.
Hey guys, Grand Slam is happening right now, and you could watch it right here. I assume that's what they were saying. I can't speak Portuguese,
right?
But that was really cool, and different countries kind of have a different feel and different attitude towards judo.
I know. France, speaking of the system, we had a French guy. We actually had a lot of French guys at the dojo, right? But I talked to one of them, and then he is saying they have more private clubs actually. It's actually not the scholastic system, but the more private clubs. I could be wrong, but that's it might have changed. But based on the conversation,
France, they have a very robust licensing system too. So you have to be qualified.
To run a school?
Yes, to run a school, to teach judo, it's a separate license. It's almost like, if I want to teach English, I have to get an English degree.
I see.
And in France, it's kind of like that too. You have to have the proper certifications, proper rank. In the United States, you could just, slap on a belt and sign a lease and you're good.
Yeah.
There's no governing anything that controls any of this stuff.
Yeah, I see.
Zero.
Oh, interesting.
You could open up a dojo, right? If you're listening to this and you have a little judo experience, you could literally just open up an LLC, sign a lease to a place, put down mats, and start teaching judo. Literally.
Oh, without having to talk to any other national governing bodies?
No, it's a wild west. I mean, if you want insurance, USJF, USJA, those guys act as insurance carriers, but you could also get private insurance.
Right.
Yeah, you could go to like martial arts insurance companies, and then they're usually underwritten by like Nationwide or something. Just get that, put down mats and start teaching judo. It's the Wild West. It's insane. It's not like that in France. Yeah.
So, all right. So we covered some countries. So you got to experience all these, got to do judo in all these countries thanks to
lots of countries.
The IJF World Tour. Is that? You went on the world. What's that system like?
Used to be. Now it's a little bit different. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be World Cup, Grand Prix, Grand Slam, and then above that is like the World Masters, World Championships, Olympics. So you gain points through World Cup, Grand Prix, Grand Slam. Obviously, the higher you go, the more points you get.
Right.
And they're all international. Now I think the World Cup's called Continental Open.
I see.
So they have that all over the place. Used to be 4 Grand Slams, 4 Grand Prix, bunch of Continental Opens.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And then you
Like
just go compete and then go to a training camp and then you go to the next one, right?
Yes.
Things like
So
that.
there would be tours, South American tour. It would be 2 Continental Opens, a Grand Prix, and then a Grand Slam after that. So it'd be like a month-long stint. And you would, it wouldn't make sense to go to Peru, come back to New York, Argentina, come back to New York. So you would go down to Peru, compete. Obviously, you have to be, top 5 in the U.S. Whatever qualifications it is at the time. You make a team, you fly down there, you compete, you do a training camp, and then you go to the next location. Compete, do a training camp, go to the next location.
I see.
So I remember I did one. It was like El Salvador, Venezuela, ended in the Miami Grand Prix.
I see.
Yeah, so it was like a 3-part system.
So out of all the tours, so this is wow. So out of all these tours, what's the coolest place you've been to?
Can I throw in a humble brag there?
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's not even humble, just straight up brag. It's like one of my biggest accomplishments. It's not even like, because I won a match or I won this. It's just like the people that I shared the podium with at the Miami Grand Prix. It was Lucas Kripalik, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He won my division.
Yeah.
Okay. Emil Mekic, who was the European champ at the time. And then it was Luciano Correa, who was the world champion from Brazil. And then it was me on that podium.
Dang.
So I have a picture. Yeah. And they all have like a head and a half above me. And it's like I look so out of place. But it's like one of my favorite pictures. It's like I look at that, I'm like, oh man,
What a podium, huh?
Yeah. It's like, oh, I guess I was kind of good back in the day. It's like very nostalgic. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So what was Miami the coolest place you've been to?
Oh, no way. Not even close. I loved Samoa. I competed in American Samoa. Yeah, and it was like the worst to get to because it was like 3 connecting flights. I was on a plane for like 30 hours. We had like an 8-hour layover in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was brutal to get to. But I remember like driving from the airport to the hotel. And, you're driving along this like coastline and these grassy patches where they have these open huts. And it started raining like crazy. And there was this big fat Samoan dude just sitting under that hut and all his kids just playing soccer in the rain, bare feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was the coolest thing. It's like, and it's like, that's so cool. And you go there and you compete at Judo, and it's just like this thing. It's like this
tropical
dingy,
paradise.
Not so, it's like this tropical, sports center that you're competing, and it's kind of dingy, but it's like kind of bright because it's the sunlight seeping in, and it's like a different planet, different world.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it was really cool because like all of the oceanic countries are there, New Zealand, Australia. I fought those guys. That was like really what an experience. Getting to travel there and doing judo there. I went to Panama. That was really cool. We went to the Panama Canal the day before to kind of like walk around and hang out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the coolest part was I fought Oreides de Spain, who was a world silver medalist the year before.
Oh.
And it was so freaking hot in there. It was like the gym didn't have air conditioning, no ventilation.
Oh, gosh.
Humidity was like peak. It was so freaking hot.
That's health hazard.
It was a hazard in every way. And I'm going against Despain.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy is overheating.
Oh,
and you want to know what's hilarious? This is it was a Panama Grand Prix, right? And he's like sitting on the sidelines and he's bitching at his coach about something.
Yeah.
And he's sweating profusely and he's like fanning himself.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so hot. And then his name gets called up and I'm fighting in the semis with him. And then he doesn't even want to go up. He's like, he's like, I got to do this. I got to do Judo. Like, it's so freaking hot. But this is the craziest part. He's from Cuba.
Oh,
so I thought he'd be used to it. Yeah.
Right.
And then like it was like the most uncomfortable, hottest match I've ever. It was just hot, humid. I couldn't breathe. The gi, like it was like the worst. It was like
I can't even.
I felt like I was in a faint.
Yeah.
I could see the guy fat. We were both like fading.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were both.
What happened? Did you win?
I was up by 2 Shidos because he got 2 penalties for he barely went for anything.
Oh, okay.
He barely went for anything, and then I grabbed his legs. And that's when they just made the rule change for the leg grabs.
Oh. For Hansokumake?
Yeah, it was immediate Hansokumake.
Oh man, that's lame.
Because that was like a weird time when they were exploring.
Right.
That, like if you touch the legs, you're out.
Because before it was just a Shido. Yeah. Right.
And you know what? His legs were kind of dangling, and I kind of grabbed it out of instinct. But it's like I think now it's like, did I just want an out?
Oh, because it was so miserable.
Because I was so hot.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was in a faint. It was like only 2 minutes in the match, and I felt like I was in a faint.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm exaggerating. But in my mind, it was brutally hot, man. It's like, you get to these tournaments, you know. I went to Brazil one time for not like a major competition, but like a U.S. versus Brazil tour. It was U.S. versus Brazil versus Argentina. And we fought in this town, Porto Alegre. And the mats were freezing cold. I don't know why. They had like stored them outside, brought them in after whatever it was. And the mats were ice cold, and I couldn't feel my toes.
Was it because it was hot outside? They were trying to, or was it the winter?
No, I think it was cold outside.
Oh, okay.
Really cold outside, and the mats were just freezing cold, and like I couldn't feel my toes.
Oh gosh.
I fought Leandro Gonçalves, who actually did pretty well recently at one of these things.
Isn't he an Olympic silver medalist?
Like, no, I don't think he got that far.
Oh, okay.
But I remember not feeling my toes, but yeah, man, really cool experiences traveling. I went to Korea, Jeju Island. I went to China.
Oh, you have a fun story about North Koreans that you saw in Jeju.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, it wasn't in Jeju. It was in China.
Oh, it was in China. Okay.
Yeah. So the North Korean team had brought a
They have a pretty good team, actually.
They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
But they are not. They kept to themselves. They didn't look at anyone. They didn't say hi to anybody. They were there. I knew that. It was in China.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the hotel lobby or the hotel bar, and then I see the entire North Korean team just pile into the lobby of the bar.
Right.
And then the North Korean coach said something, and I assume it was something like, do not make eye contact with anyone. Do not talk to anyone. Do not say hi. You have 2 hours to drink as much as you can and go back up to your rooms. Never mention this again. And those guys just started throwing back drinks for 2 hours, like screaming, like they've never went out before.
Right.
And then the coach is like, all right, time's up. And then every single one of them just complied and just left.
Short and sweet.
And it was like they were never there in the first place. Maybe it was like an hour. It was like I was there.
Yeah.
I saw the Korean team, North Korean team, and then they were gone. And they drank so hard, so fast. It's very bizarre, man. I gotta tell you, it was like really, really interesting, weird.
You didn't even train with them or fight them?
No, I don't think they stayed for the camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was part of Korea was the World Cup, and then we went to China for the Grand Prix, and then we went to Japan for the Grand Slam.
I see.
And then I stayed in Japan for 2 weeks after that to train with Kokushkan. So I was away for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh wow.
It was
hard
brutal.
life. Yeah.
Hard life, man. Finding laundry to do. You try to do laundry in the hotel, they charge you an arm and a leg, so that's tough.
Right. Oh wow.
You spend a lot of time in grocery stores at different countries. That doesn't get mentioned so often, but that's just how it is.
It's like these backstories are very interesting because people usually just see the cool ippons.
Yeah, getting stuck in Brazil, missing a layover, and what do we do? And no one speaks Portuguese, and one time I went to Peru and ate ceviche.
Oh yeah, the delicacy.
Got food poisoning.
Oh gosh, the night before the competition, right?
It was a couple days after the competition.
Oh, okay,
but we were gonna go Peru to Argentina. And then I went to Peru. I competed. I was doing the training camp, and I saw a friend from high school who was living there. And he's like, "Let me take you out, to local cuisine." And I'm like, "I don't know, man." And then he got this thing. It's ceviche, but the juices of the ceviche. It's called leche de tigre. It's like tiger milk. And you drink it.
Oh, okay.
It's like the fish juice and like citric acid, lime and stuff, and I drank it, and boy, I've never been sicker.
He still can't eat ceviche. Shintaro still can't eat ceviche.
I haven't had ceviche since.
Yeah. There's a reason. Did you hear about this? Usain Bolt, when he goes away internationally for competitions, he only eats McNuggets. Apparently.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
Because it's consistent everywhere.
Consistent everywhere. Yeah, you could eat fast food. I knew this kid, Michael Eldred, who used to have a McDonald's meal at every single country he visited.
All the same. All the same. Yeah.
All the same. I mean, they have different like local menus and stuff.
Right. Well, McNuggets are all the same, I guess.
Yeah. Pretty cool how that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. Judo in the world, man. That's a lot of cool stories, a lot of judo out there. You know, country to country, it's different. It's pretty cool now on my YouTube. People reach out to me from all over the place.
Yeah.
Half the time I don't understand what they're saying. So I'm sorry if the message doesn't get through. But yeah, that's judo around the world. If you have any questions, join us on Patreon and ask away.
Yeah, that's right. And thanks for listening. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Yep. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everyone.